Hello and thanks for joining us for today's video. In today's video, we'll be discussing people who were lured to their death by other people on the internet. We want to state the obvious. We never want to use the internet to murder people. Instead, we want to use the internet to hear about murders from you so we can talk about them on here or a podcast, Into the Killing. If you know of an interesting case you want us to cover, either on Criminally Listed or Into the Killing, please visit our website, criminallylisted.com, and go to the Suggested Case page. We'd also love to hear about cases of the supernatural. This includes your own possible experiences with the supernatural. You can suggest those cases on the same page. But before we start today's video, we just want to bring you a word from our wonderful sponsor, Magellan TV. There's nothing I like better on a Saturday afternoon than lying on the couch and checking out a new documentary on Magellan TV. Last week, I watched a fascinating documentary called Apex Gang, Behind the Headlines. I never heard of the Apex Gang before, but they're a youth gang that terrorized Melbourne, Australia. They were behind carjackings, home invasions, and even several riots. But who exactly are these gang members? Where do they come from? And what are their goals? Apex Gang Behind the Headlines takes a deep dive into the gang's history and who they are as people. It's a fascinating documentary, and I'm still thinking about it days later. This is just one of the many great documentaries available on Magellan TV. They have over 3,000 documentaries, and 20 hours of new material is added every week. It's the #1 rated documentary app in the Google Play Store. It's also a great deal when it comes to price and quality. Many people, including myself, consider it a hidden gem. Right now is a great time to check out Magellan TV because they have an awesome deal for Criminally Listed viewers. They're giving Criminally Listed viewers 30 days of free service. To get this amazing offer, just go to try.magellantv.com/criminallylisted. So please check out Magellan TV today because you'll find something great to watch and you'll be supporting Criminally Listed in the process. Number 3. Bernard George Lamp. Bernard Lamp was a resident of Troutman, North Carolina. The 51-year-old man had a history of crimes that dated back decades. In 1980, he was convicted of robbery by force in Virginia. In 1989, he was convicted of abduction in Ohio. It's unclear how much time he served for these crimes. In January 2008, Lamp was convicted for assault on a female. In this case, Lamp contacted a woman on Craigslist in October 2007 to meet him at a Troutman truck stop. When the female showed up, Lamp forced her to drive to a rest stop at knife point. He then tried sexually assaulting her at the rest stop. Witnesses saw Lamp attempting to drag the woman back to the car by her hair as she ran away. They called the police and they arrested him. He was still on parole for the 1980 robbery, yet he was not sent to prison for reasons that were never made clear. In February 2008, a month after he was arrested for the attempted rape of the woman he met on Craigslist, Lamp posted another ad on Craigslist to meet someone. This ad was answered by 52-year-old Bonnie Lou Irvine of Cornelius, North Carolina. The two started emailing back and forth. Irvine sent Lamp a link to a website with pictures of her. The site was a popular website for men seeking sex workers. Irvine had been charged with prostitution charges in the past. Cell phone records show that the pair arranged to meet on February 28th. This was the last sign of Irvine. Her roommate reported her missing on March 8th. A week later, the police stopped Lamp while he was driving Irvine's 2001 Volvo. Police noticed bloodstains in the car and they arrested him. Lamp took the police to his girlfriend's home, another woman he met on Craigslist, to show where he buried Irvine's body. Police found the body of 52-year-old Bonnie Lou Irvine buried in a shallow grave in the backyard. The medical examiner believed she had been strangled or beaten to death. They charged Lamp with murder and first-degree kidnapping. Lamp was held in custody for almost 6 years until his trial started in January 2014. In February 2014, Bernard Lamp was found guilty of first-degree murder. For sentencing, the jury deliberated for 4 hours over 2 days. All of the members recommended the death penalty. The judge carried out their recommendation and sentenced Lamp to death. However, he was never executed. Bernard George Lamp died of natural causes in May 2016. He was 58 years old. Number 2. John Katehis. John Katehis posted his extreme views on the internet. The 16-year-old Elmhurst, Queens native said on his MySpace page that he enjoys drinking, bike riding, hanging out, roof hopping, hanging off trains, and extreme violence, chaos, anarchy, etc., video games, violent movies, and listening to my iPod. On that same page, he refers to himself as an extremist, an anarchist, and a sadomasochist. His MySpace page also showed his collection of knives. Katehis lived by a simple rule: show respect to him and he'll show respect to you. If not, he would break your neck. Katehis often posted Craigslist ads offering oral sex to men. He felt it was a good way to make quick cash. On March 18, 2009, 47-year-old George Weber responded to one of Katehis' ads for a sexual encounter. Weber was a freelance journalist working for ABC News Radio in New York. He had also worked for ABC stations in California, Colorado, and Pennsylvania. Katehis and Weber started emailing back and forth. Weber wanted someone to bind his hands and legs and smother him. He was willing to pay $60. The two planned to meet on March 20th, 2009. Around 6 p.m. that day, Katehis went to Weber's apartment. When they entered the bedroom, Katehis pulled Weber's pants and underwear down to his ankles and then bound him with duct tape as per their agreement. According to Katehis, Weber pulled out a knife, making him paranoid. He fought with Weber over the knife and ended up cutting his left hand. Katehis claimed he gained control of the knife and stabbed Weber about 50 times in the neck and torso. Then he went through Weber's pockets and collected the $60. He changed into Weber's clothes before leaving the apartment. Around 9:13 p.m., a subway conductor saw Katehis bleeding profusely from his left hand. He was met by medical staff at the station and taken to the hospital for treatment. Katehis then fled to a friend's house early that morning. The following day, the police went to Weber's apartment after he failed to show up for work. When they entered the apartment, they noticed blood splattered across the apartment. They found the dead body of 47-year-old George Weber on his bedroom floor with his legs bound. Investigators didn't find the murder weapon at the scene. The medical examiner determined that Weber had bled to death. Toxicology also reported that his blood alcohol level was 0.12. Police searched Weber's computer and found his communications with Katehis. Katehis' family knew that he had killed Weber, and they provided information to the police. They also agreed to help the police. Katehis' father arranged to meet him at a bus depot. As he approached his father's car, police stormed out of an unmarked vehicle and tackled him. Katehis was arrested and held without bail on charges of second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon. Katehis, who was 16 years old at the time of the murder, was charged as an adult. Katehis spoke to the police for 40 minutes. In a taped confession, Katehis claimed that he and Weber fought over the knife. "We were both struggling over the knife. We were pulling towards each other, and the knife just goes and jabs him in the neck." Also in the taped confession, Katehis makes several jokes. He even winks at the camera when the police read him his rights. At his October 2010 trial, Katehis claimed he killed Weber in self-defense. The defense's opening statement claimed that Weber invited Katehis over to move some boxes. Once he arrived, Weber allegedly offered the teen alcohol and cocaine and even sex. Katehis admitted to being jumpy as this was his first time trying the drug. Katehis' lawyer argued that Weber was a sexual predator luring the then 16-year-old into having sex with him. However, investigators didn't find cocaine at the murder scene. Toxicology reports proved that Katehis didn't have any in his system. The defense team also argued that the police intimidated Katehis into a confession. But during the taped confession, Katehis can be heard laughing and joking as he picked at a donut. The prosecution argued that the defendant was a willing participant, as proof they entered the email chain into evidence. They also said that the death was not the result of self-defense. Weber had been stabbed 50 times while his legs were bound with duct tape. Prosecutors argued that this was a thrill kill. Katehis' courtroom behavior bolstered this claim. His carefree demeanor was consistent with the taped confession as he smirked at press members. Katehis' first trial ended in a hung jury. He found out his fate during his second trial. He was found guilty of second-degree murder. On December 13, 2011, John Katehis was sentenced to the maximum sentence of 25 years in prison. At his sentencing, George Weber's family offered compassion to Katehis. Weber's brother-in-law, Jason Hannes, forgave the murderer. Hannes said he had no hatred for him. Katehis showed remorse during his sentencing, a strange gesture from someone who laughed and joked during his confession and trial. For the death of George Weber, I am sorry, he said at his sentencing. I regret it. At the time of this video, 30-year-old John Katehis is serving a sentence at Sing Sing Prison in Ossining, New York. The earliest he'll be released is in March 2034. Number 1. Saul Dos Reis. Saul Dos Reis was born in Brazil and adopted by Silviana and Saul Dos Reis Sr. as a newborn. Silviana and Saul's marriage ended in 1981. Silvana met Isaias Arruda in 1986 and settled in Connecticut with her son. Dos Reis attended Greenwich High School. He was an average student. By his early 20s, Dos Reis was married. In 1999, his 19-year-old wife, Tatiana, was diagnosed with lymphoma. Dos Reis worked 7 days a week to pay for her medical bills. He dropped out of his community college and rarely saw his friends. With pressures mounting, Dos Reis took refuge in fixing his car. He spent a lot of time on the computer, bidding on online auto parts. In 2002, Dos Reis was 24 years old and he was working full-time at his family's Brazilian restaurant. He was also active in chat rooms, styling himself as a car fanatic. One American Online account, aka AOL, that contacted him belonged to 13-year-old Christina Long. Christina was fascinated by cars. Dos Reis drove an Infiniti G20. He told her that he was 19 years old and she told him she was 14. Of course, Dos Reis was 24 and Christina was only 13. After a week of being online, they rented a hotel room to have sex. This wasn't the first time Dos Reis had sexual relations with an underage girl he met online. In 1998, Dos Reis met a 15-year-old girl online. He traveled from his Portchester, New York workplace to the 15-year-old girl's Connecticut home to have consensual sex with her. Christina, who had turned 13 2 months prior, was a newcomer at Danbury Elementary School in Danbury, Connecticut. Christina loved to dance and quickly became the cheerleader squad's co-captain. She also acted more mature than the other girls in her school. Some parents thought that she wore too much makeup and danced too sexy. However, within a year of joining the school, Christina was baptized, became an altar girl, and an honor student. Christina lived with her aunt, Shelley Riling. Her parents practically neglected her as a child. Her biological mother and father separated when she was young. Her father drank, and her mother would leave Christina at home while she sang karaoke. Christina's mother thought she could make a lucrative living in the karaoke scene. Shelley eventually got full custody of Christina. According to Shelley, Christina's mother didn't bother attending the court hearing regarding custody. On May 17, 2002, Christina told her aunt Shelley she was going to meet a friend at the carousel at the Danbury Mall and they were going shopping, but she was secretly meeting Dos Reis. Shelley didn't know that her niece was seeing an older man. Christina only told her aunt that her boyfriend was 14 years old. Shelley dropped Christina off at the mall and agreed to pick her up at 9:15 p.m. That was the last time Shelley saw her niece. Christina met with Dos Reis and left in his car. The two started having sex in the car at the McDonald's parking lot. According to Dos Reis, he claimed that Christina wanted him to choke her with a seatbelt, but she was worried it'd leave a mark, so he asked her to put his hands around her neck. Then Dos Reis strangled the teenager. Christina became unresponsive. He thought she was joking, but she had lost consciousness. Dos Reis tried to resuscitate her with CPR, even tasting blood in her mouth. When he realized she was dead, he dumped the body in a ravine and threw her belongings in a gas station dumpster. Shelley returned to the mall and had security page Christina, but there was no sign of her. At 10:21 p.m., Shelley reported her missing. The police accessed Christina's AOL account and saw email correspondence between her and Dos Reis. First, Dos Reis created an alibi. He emailed Christina after the murder and asked her about the date she went on. Nevertheless, the police decided to bring him in for questioning. He took a polygraph exam. After taking the polygraph test, Dos Reis admitted to strangling Christina, dumping her body in the Greenwich Brook about 35 miles away, and then dumping her belongings in a dumpster. He also admitted to having sex with Christina on 2 occasions. He led investigators to her body the next day. Authorities charged Dos Reis with state and federal crimes. The state of Connecticut charged him with 1 count of first-degree manslaughter and 3 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of risk of injury to a minor. The federal government also charged him with 2 counts of using the internet to entice a minor and 2 counts of interstate travel to engage in sexual behavior with a minor, plus 1 count for using the internet to entice another minor. Dos Reis claimed that he thought Christina was 18 and that the murder was accidental. His wife, Tatiana, filed for divorce in 2002. She didn't attend any of his court appearances. In March 2003, Dos Reis was convicted for his state crimes. He entered a plea under the Alford Doctrine, where he didn't admit to the crimes but conceded the state had enough evidence to convict him. His defense alleged it was an accident. They claimed that Christina died of an enlarged heart and irregular heartbeat during sex. However, the prosecution pointed out that Christina stopped breathing in the parking lot. Then Dos Reis drove around with her body in his car for about an hour. At no point did he call 911. After he dumped the body, he meticulously cleaned the car. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In April 2003, he pleaded guilty to 2 federal crimes of traveling across state lines to have sex with a minor. Authorities also charged him for the 1998 encounter with a 15-year-old Connecticut girl. Dos Reis' mother sobbed uncontrollably during the proceedings. Christina's Aunt Shelley was also present at the court. She brought a framed picture of Christina with her. "If I had my way, he'd be in jail for life," Shelley Riling told reporters outside the court. "The poor me stance, I don't buy it at all. I think he's absolutely a monster." For the crimes brought up by the state, Dos Reis was sentenced to 30 years in prison. "I did some foolish and selfish things, but I did not do all the things for which I was accused," Dos Reis said during his trial. "I am not evil. I am not an evil man." While in prison awaiting his federal charges, Dos Reis used an online pen pal service to connect with others. In his profile, he referred to himself as an outgoing heterosexual male in his mid-20s looking for female pen pals to correspond with. This move sickened Christina's aunt, who asserted that Dos Reis was trying to lure young girls from prison. In July 2003, Dos Reis was sentenced to 25 years for interstate travel to engage in unlawful sexual activity. He was to serve 15 years concurrently with his state crimes, giving him a total of 40 years in prison. Christina's case garnered national attention. Her death brought into focus the dangers of online predators. Saul Dos Reis is 45 years old at the time of this recording. He is currently serving his sentence at the Federal Correctional Institute Pekin in Pekin, Illinois. He will be released in August 2023 and then transferred to a state prison to serve the 25 years of his state-level sentences. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please don't forget to check out our new channel, Paranormally Listed. There's a link on the screen now, and there's a link in the description box below this video. Well, that's all for today. Thanks again for watching.